tea. The sun is setting. We're outside. It's a beautiful day today, and I have some stuff to talk about. Let's get started, shall we? I want to start off by naming 4 manifestation methods that are very widely used, starting off with my favorite, which is scripting. I found scripting through Nikola Tesla's work. He is a known engineer. He's done a lot of great work. Sadly, his story wasn't always the best because his teachings got stolen, but scripting, in terms of Nikola Tesla, specifically the 369 method, which is my favorite manifestation method because I've come a long way with this method. What is scripting, you may ask? Scripting using the 369 method is basically writing your desires and your manifestation, your dreams, what it is you want to manifest in this life, in your journal, in a notebook, whatever it may be, and you don't want to just write this. For example, I want to make $10,000 this month. You have to do it in such a way that invokes emotion, that makes you feel like you really are going to get that $10,000. Think of a really short sentence that expresses gratitude for having the thing that you wish to have. You write it 3 times at 3 p.m., 6 times at 6 p.m., and 9 times at 9 p.m. Hence, the 369 method. When I was writing a sentence that was way too long, it took me a very long time to script. And in turn, I ended up not wanting to do it at the end. I'm gonna give you a little story. When I moved out of the north, I ended up finding myself in Alberta. I mean, I knew it was gonna happen because I was willing to make this happen no matter what. So I ended up finding myself in Calgary, and in Calgary it was a little bit hard to kind of keep myself afloat because it was my first time ever having to pay rent. I wanted to find myself a studio apartment that cost me no more than $1,000 and work a job that paid me $17 to $18 an hour full time. Now, this was kind of me lowballing and thinking kind of more realistically, like, oh, I couldn't find anything that paid me more, which is a limiting belief that I had at the time. But I scripted this. I think I went for like 2 months. At some point, I ended up writing it down and just kind of forgetting about it and deciding to just jump in and look for the jobs and look for the apartments. But I kid you not, I ended up finding an apartment. The rent was literally $600, and I found a job that paid me $17 per hour, not including commission. So not only did I get exactly what it is that I wanted to get, I got more than what I expected. Some part of me kind of felt like I wasn't gonna get it, but a huge part of me felt like yes, because this is just a normal part of manifestation. There is gonna be a little bit of doubt, but understanding that whatever it is you're trying to manifest, you better manifest it with your whole heart. Next manifestation method I would like to talk about is visualization. Visualization is mostly coined from Neville Goddard, and he talked about visualizing deeply and in so much detail down to what it smells like, what it feels like, what the energy feels like, what it looks like from what's next to you on your left to what's next to you on your right, and what you're seeing in front of you. Before bed, while you're closing your eyes and while you're about to sleep, visualizing in great detail what it is you want to manifest, and also doing the same thing throughout the day and in the morning. This manifestation method I absolutely love, but I want to say be careful if you're constantly imagining what it is that you want and you're not really putting so much action. It kind of gives you a scarcity mindset where now you're just in your head. This is the energy behind constantly thinking about something. You're obsessing over it. Don't want to get to a point of visualization where you're obsessed with the thing that you want to manifest. You need to have a balance between visualizing and somewhat obsessing, where it's not obsession but knowing that you're gonna get this thing because you've literally seen it in your mind. Taking an example, this chair that's right next to me, structure of the building that surrounds me. This was somebody's visualization. They visualized making a chair like this. They had it in their head. They thought about the 4 legs, how it was gonna be woven, whether it was gonna be plastic, it was gonna be wood. They visualized this thing and then they brought it into life. So everything that you see is literally a manifestation of somebody's dreams and desires. Be careful with visualization. Make sure that you detach, because detachment is where the magic happens. Detachment isn't saying that I don't care about this thing. Detachment is saying that I know that I'm gonna get this very thing, but I'm detaching because I believe that I don't need to obsess over it in order for it to show up in my reality. If you know you're gonna get $5 million in 3 months and 4 days, would you stress about the money that you have right now? Would you think about, oh my God, I'm worried about my bills right now? No, you wouldn't. You would literally act as if you're gonna get $5 million in 3 months and 4 days, which you're gonna get $5 million in 3 months and 4 days. And I like to use visualization and scripting at the same time. While I'm scripting, I conjure up the feeling of gratitude. I don't just start scripting right away. I start with silence. Start with a small little meditation, or just sitting in silence, or just 4 deep breaths to clear my mind, to clear my energy, so that I'm in a space where I can easily visualize and conjure up the feeling of gratitude and the feeling of having this thing that I'm scripting about or visualizing of. This is where the power resides, because feelings and emotion are what bring things about. The word emotion, energy in motion. Emotions move things. Emotions tell you things. They bring about light to certain truths. We'll jump into that later, but I just wanted to implant this into your mind right now. The third and final method of manifestation that most of us also know is affirmations. Affirmations is very similar to scripting, but it's not scripting in the sense that you're now writing a full sentence of, I am grateful that I have this, this, and that. It's kind of like all three put together. With affirmations, you write down words that have an impact. Not just, I am grateful that I have $5,000. No, you want to write down something that has impact to you specifically. For example, when I wanted to manifest safety in terms of my environment, in terms of my inner world, and in terms of my relationships, I had affirmations on my wall that said, I am grateful for cultivating this sense of safety in my life. What I did, and what I think is also a great idea if you need help with affirmations, going on YouTube, going on Spotify, which is what I did, looking at other people's affirmations, listening to their affirmations, and whichever affirmations really hit home for me, I kept those. And I either tailored them to something that was more of what I wanted, or tailored them to more of my language, or I just literally downright copyrighted the whole affirmation and said it. Which brings us to ask and you shall receive, which is a term many of us have heard, especially if you are raised kind of religious. In almost any religion, they all say the same thing: ask and you shall receive. Ask questions. Ask yourself questions. Dive deep into what you really want. Is this your truth? Is it something that you are imagining for yourself from within yourself, or is it something that has been projected onto you by your environment, by your relationships? It could be family, it could be friends, it could be literally from watching other people on social media and thinking that you want the very same thing when it's actually just a projection. Ask yourself, is this really what you want to manifest in your life? Do you actually want to live this kind of lifestyle? Do you want this very thing in your environment? And are you willing to do the things that you need to do in order to sustain the type of life that you want to live, or to sustain having this thing in your environment? And I encourage you to think about the gap between you and your goal or manifestation or desire or dream. This gap in between gets closer and closer the more you really ask questions and get down to the root of it, getting you to the singular point where you do have the manifestation, you have the dream, you have the desire, you have the thing that you're trying to get into your environment or into your life. But I think asking questions and really getting down to the nitty-gritty of why you want this thing, where it's coming from, is really important, because it also gives you the motivational tools that you need to sustain yourself throughout the journey of getting the thing and sustain the thing in your life. So kind of like, for example, when I wanted this apartment and I wanted this job, I asked myself, is it really what I want? Do I really want to be independent? Do I really want my own apartment and my own life? What limiting beliefs. Do I really believe that I can have this apartment? Do I really believe that I can have a job that pays me $17, $18 an hour while having an apartment that's only $600? In what world? But yeah, I actually believe that I could, because I believe in miracles. I believe in dreams. I believe in magic, because it's literally all around us. I really want you to question things, question where they're coming from. And you don't have to spend months or days asking yourself questions, but even a singular hour or a singular moment or a couple minutes a day, you're just kind of asking yourself questions and trying to dive deeper into understanding your desire for this thing. Because sometimes you may desire something and you may want something in your life, but when you get it, you don't actually want this thing. You realize, I didn't really want this thing in my life. I only thought I wanted it because my family told me that I should have it, or because I saw somebody on social media having it and I thought it would be nice to have this thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. At looking at something and saying, I want it because this person has it. But don't you want to live a life where you have the things that you really want, and not because somebody else has it or somebody told you that you wanted it? You want a sense of autonomy in your life, which is what I'm guessing, because if you're watching this video, you want to manifest something. You want something to come into your life. You want this thing to come out of truth. Life is way too short to be asking and wanting things that you don't really want, because when you get the thing that you want, it's not as special as you think it is, but it only is special when you really, really want the thing, and it's coming from a really rooted sense of self. And I'm not saying you have to know yourself through and through, all out, because as much as you can know yourself, you don't really know yourself. You're gonna grow, you're gonna change your beliefs, you're gonna change your environment, you're gonna constantly meet yourself in different eras. What I wanted when I was 21 is not the same as what I wanted now. When I was 21, I really didn't want these things. I mean, I obviously wanted the apartment and the job, because you need a job in order to have an apartment, and to have an apartment, you also kind of need a job to pay for the apartment. But the other things that I thought I wanted, like I manifested a relationship with somebody, but in the end, I realized that I actually didn't really want this relationship. I would rather just be by myself, progressing in my career and having friends that I really liked and being in environments that I really liked. It was more of a sense of community that I was wanting and hoping for. That doesn't mean that you can't want a relationship or friends, but community doesn't just come from that. Community comes from your neighbors. It comes from environments that you're constantly walking into. Those can also be forms of community for you. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling because I get so passionate about this subject. But ask and you shall receive. Ask yourself what it is you want. Why do you want this thing? Do you really believe that you can have this thing? And if you don't, and if you find out why you want this thing, what it is you want, and if you believe whether you can have this thing or not, it makes the journey a lot easier. It makes it easier for you to pinpoint, okay, I know why I want this, so I'm motivated because I want A, B, C. And I'm also motivated because I know why I want it in my life. And I understand where it's coming from, because it might have been something that I've never had in my life before that I want to experience now, or it's coming from a place of curiosity. Like, I'm curious to see why or what this thing can do for me, or how it can help me grow. Asking these questions can really bring a lot more clarity and less chaos with your manifestations. With manifestations, it's better, and I highly recommend that they are specific, down to the detail. Things get a lot easier to walk towards when you know exactly what it is you want. And I want to say, before we continue, that manifesting is almost a form of shadow work, literally a love letter to yourself. You're asking yourself, what is it you want out of life? And you're giving yourself that very thing, while also understanding where this desire comes from and why you're doing it. Manifestation isn't just visualizing and dreaming about something day in and day out while not taking action on it. It's thinking about what it is you want and the dreams and desires while taking action upon that which you asked for. The actions must start small, little by little. Just like habits aren't built by just saying, I want to go to the gym and be jacked up. You're not going to go to the gym for like 1 week straight and then be jacked up. That's not reality. You're gonna have to cultivate a habit of going to the gym certain times a week and having a good diet and sleeping well and doing this consistently for at least a month before you see results. You know what I mean? You need to have action backed up with fantasy, but also having the delusion to connect this desire, this fantasy with real life and bringing it in to the physical. And vision boards are something that I recommend you get into because it really keeps things like right in front of your face. Vision board is literally real life accountability when you don't have other people to keep you accountable. This brings me to dreams. I am a firm rooted believer in dreams coming true. I believe in the spiritual world just as much as I believe in the physical and what I see in front of me. I can tangibly touch with my hand, but I also believe in things that I can touch with my soul. Just to start off this topic of dreams, I want to ingrain this so deeply in your mind. You need to dream big. Thinking big, honey. Think big. Dream big and then dream bigger than what you can dream about. And I'm not talking in the sense of money and businesses and material wealth, but dream big for your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your relationships. Dream big for the type of environment you're in. Dream big for the type of life that you want to live and the people you want to surround yourself with, the things that you see on a daily basis. And dream big for how this life feels. Because you see, this life is not guaranteed. You don't know when the lights are going to go out. And I don't want to be doom and gloom about it, but I want this to be a motivator to really dive deep into who you are, what you want out of this life, and how you want to move about as a person, as a human being, with a breath, with a mind, with individuality, with interests, goals, and aspirations. I want to talk about the topic of failure. Failure is not a bad thing, and you're not a failure if you didn't do something that you wanted to do by now, or you're not in a place that you thought you would be by now. I want you to fail. I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to try out? What is something that I've always wanted to do? And you try it. You fail at it, that's okay. Go try something else and fail at it again, because failure will teach you where you need to improve, what it is that you really want. Failure gets you closer to your goal. Failure and rejection is a form of redirection. Yeah. Fail, honey. If you want to make $10 million a year, you're going to have to fail with how you handle your money. You're going to gain $5,000, you're going to lose $2,000, but then you're going to gain another $10,000 because you understood how you lost that first $3,000 from the first $5,000 you got. You would understand how to better adjust and pivot. This gap in between you and your goal are getting smaller and smaller and smaller as you fail. But don't just fail and stop and be like, oh my God, I'm a failure. This sucks. Don't just mope. Get back up and revise the plan. Recalculate how you're going to move about and learn from those mistakes. Learn from the failure. And that's how the failure actually helps you more than it does break you down or break you apart. It's taking me so much time and so many mistakes to come to the realization that I need to be so patient and gentle and kind with myself, because people out there are going to be so harsh and so mean and so rude. Do you want to be these people too to yourself? Like, you don't need any more hurt and criticism, and you don't need any more negative energy. Even if you're not getting negative energy from other people, it's inevitable that you're going to bump into people who are gonna make fun of you or have something bad to say. You're gonna have to wake up next to yourself every single morning. It's you and you forever, okay? And you might as well be your own best friend. It's starting to get loud up here because it is a Saturday night and it's getting kind of dark, so I'm gonna wrap up the video. I've taken so many uncalculated and calculated risks that I've just understood the fundamentals of taking risks in general. I encourage each and every one of you to live in the uncertainty. What's most important with all of this in your journey of manifesting and dreaming and taking risks. Cultivate practices of being in silence and stillness. In the Christian religion, which I was raised up in, there was a saying, "Be still and know that I am God." In stillness, in silence, we get to dance with life. We get to be in the in between. And in the in between is where we find truth, where we unravel so much of ourselves and we connect with our surroundings, with the universe, with the world, with nature, with the harmony and the frequency of this world and of the spiritual world. Stillness and silence is where the pot of creativity resides. And I encourage you to cultivate a practice of silence, whether it's meditation, sitting in silence with no phone, no music, no nothing in the background. And I would encourage you to do this outside in nature or just doing your day to day routine in silence. The world does this while you're quiet, you're silent, you're going like this, right? The world is doing this. But as soon as you just keep going, you keep going, the world becomes this with you because you have maintained your own energy, and that consistent maintenance of equilibrium, it does something. It shifts the energy. In order to grab something out of the spiritual realm, grab something from the unknown, the divine, this part of creativity that is unseen by the naked eye, you have to be silent and know and understand where the pot is. You can't see the pot if you're constantly moving and jumping everywhere. You're going to think the pot is there, but it's actually here. And in order to get here, you have to be here. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you had an epiphany or something, took something of positive impact from this video, and I will be making more, so I'll see you babies next time. Bye. Besos.